which team is the biggest title threat after Boston in Denver?
It's the Clippers. It's the Clippers, and they're right there knocking at the door. And it's solely because, look, when I look at their roster, they have zero flaws. When you look at their depth, right, they have great depth at the big position in Zubac, Daniel Tice, and Plumlee. And then when you look at the supporting cast, Norman Powell coming off the bench, a candidate for Sixth Man of the Year. You know what Paul George is going to bring to the table, being a number 2 to Kawhi Leonard. James Harden embracing that point guard role, that facilitating role on that team. But it's 2 guys that I trust with the all of me. And the one is Ty Lue walking up and down that sideline. We know what he's capable of doing as a head coach. But the other one is Kawhi Leonard Jordan. And I've seen it, right? We've seen it in the past. When he matches up with the best of them, whether it's LeBron James and D Wade and Chris Bosh, he's came out victorious. Whether his son Giannis Antetokounmpo tucked him in night, you know, when he was in the Eastern Conference and broke up that home. And so when I think about Kawhi and I think about what he's capable of doing on both ends of the floor, Molly, he could be the best player in any series against any player at any given moment when healthy.
Big Perk, I completely agree with you with Kawhi Leonard, but I disagree with your take on the Clippers because you just said you know what you're going to get from Paul George. Did you see Paul George in the playoffs last year against the Suns? Did you see him? Because I didn't see him. He
was hurt. He was hurt.
That's my point. But that's my point. He was hurt. That's the biggest issue when it comes to the Clippers. I don't know that they top 2 players going to stay healthy. I ain't got no questions about their depth. I ain't got no questions about Ty Lue. I do got questions about who's going to be able to stay in the lineup for 2 months in order to make a run and get through the Western Conference to the NBA Finals. The team that I'm rolling with as the biggest challenger to the Nuggets out of the Western Conference, and I can't believe I'm saying this, but I'm going with the Minnesota Timberwolves. And the reason why I'm going with the Minnesota Timberwolves is because they just young enough to not know that they ain't supposed to be there. They're young enough to know, and sometimes ignorance can be a good thing when it comes to sports. The other thing that I like to point out with the Timberwolves is that defense matters, especially in the postseason. They got the adage, defense wins championships. Well, this is the highest-rated defensive team in all of basketball. Now, they already stacked 1 win against the Denver Nuggets, but that was in the first half of the season. They're going to play them 3 times over the next 3 weeks, so we'll get a better idea, a better gauge for where they're at. But they got a star in Anthony Edwards. And for people that ain't paying attention to the NBA, this dude is coming.
Superstar.
Hold up 1 second, but Cat's not healthy, and Rudy Gobert's not healthy.
Yeah, Cat's not healthy. We'll see what ends up happening. Rudy Gobert, we know he's coming back relatively soon. But Gobert is a guy that is in the conversation. I think he's the front runner to win Defensive Player of the Year again. And it all starts and ends with him on that end of the court. So when you start to look at the elements that the Timberwolves have, when you look at the overall depth, this is a team that goes 8 deep in their rotation. Yeah. This is a team that's got 6 guys that average in double figures. I believe that they have what it takes to go on a deep playoff run, and on any given game, that guy, Anthony Edwards, can be the best 2-way player on the floor.
Harry,
and that's what gives me confidence about what they can do once they get into a deep playoff series.
To be fair, the Clippers aren't actually healthy either. Harry?
So, Perk, I'll start with the Clippers. I think the health thing really scares me when it comes to them. And also something I noticed about their basketball team, when they're playing a very athletic guard that can get to the rim and score the basketball at will, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, the young man that we have in Sacramento right now, De'Aaron Fox, they struggle big time. They struggle big time with people like that. Now, when it comes to Minnesota, I think the thing that makes me nervous about Minnesota is being able to have enough scoring, especially when you have Karl Anthony Towns out right now. And I don't know what his condition is going to be like when he comes back, because it is a meniscus, right? He's having surgery on his knee. You're not going to be able to do everything that you want to do before you're properly able to come back. But who I think that can contend after we talk about the Boston Celtics or the Denver Nuggets, I'm not looking at anybody. Those are the 2 teams that I expect to be in the NBA Finals. Those are 2 teams that I expect to be in the NBA Finals, because what I love about Jokic, when it comes to half-court basketball, they don't have to live behind the 3-point line. They run everything through Nikola Jokic. In that recent game that they just had versus the Boston Celtics, every time the Boston Celtics tried to come back and they made a run, they go down the court. We're going to get that ball at the elbow right to Nikola Jokic. He's going to make the right play. And when I'm looking at Boston in the East, I don't see nobody. They're their own worst enemy, in my opinion.
Yeah, but Harry, it's almost disrespectful to put the Boston Celtics in the same class as the Denver Nuggets. It's the Denver Nuggets, and then there's a gap the size of the Grand Canyon before you get to whoever is number 2 out there in the NBA, whether we're talking Eastern Conference or Western Conference.
After Boston and the Nuggets.
No, I understand that, but I don't even think it's respectful to the Nuggets to put Boston in that class.
Well, I have the Nuggets right here, Chris. That didn't come out of my mouth. I have the Nuggets up here.
Harry, I'm not arguing the point what you're saying. I'm saying just to keep it in its proper perspective.
You think the Nuggets are that much
I
better
think the Nuggets
than
are that.
Boston?
They got a player in the. They got a player in Nikola Jokic. Nikola Jokic controls the game better than any player in the NBA. We're used to assigning that to LeBron James, but in terms of that attribute, LeBron has passed the torch to Nikola Jokic.
Boston is popular, right? They're popular right now. The best record in the league. They're running through everybody in the Eastern Conference. They have a dominant home record. They're smoking people by double figures when you walk into the Garden. But when you look at the Denver Nuggets, they are powerful. They're powerful in their play. When you talk about Jokic being the best player in the league, when you look at Jamal Murray being the best number 2 in the league, and why I say that is because in the big moments, when it matters the most, when they get to the postseason, Jamal Murray elevates his game like no other. That two-man game is something special. That connection between Jokic and Aaron Gordon is something special. We've been crowning all season long and disrespecting the Denver Nuggets by saying Boston Celtics have the best starting 5 in basketball. Well, we were wrong. The best starting 5 in basketball is actually the best starting 5 that actually won the NBA championship last year in the Denver Nuggets. When you look at they fit so well together, they communicate well, and right now, they're one of the best defensive teams as well, top 10 team defensively in the league. They're well coached by Michael Malone, and when I talk about that popular and powerful movement, Molly, when you're powerful, you actually knock people off their square. And right now, the Denver Nuggets are knocking me off my square because I had the Los Angeles Clippers representing the Western Conference, but now they got me changing my mind because of the play of Jokic and Murray. That two-man game is just something special.
You want a final word, Harry?
No, I love the Denver Nuggets. They're my favorite to repeat.
Yep.
Whenever you have a situation where teams are able to come back, but you have that killer, you have that wild card, which is Nikola Jokic.
Yeah.
I don't see it happening. I have to see it happening in order for me to be able to believe it.
Wanna try to boast at what I look like. Keep them down, try to wear, I pull up long range. Jimmy with the heat, I'm on fire. The city ain't over here,